In this video, I'm gonna show you how to increase your show rate. So if you run a business that relies on appointments and human beings to show up for those appointments so that you could sell your product or services, you're gonna find this video extremely valuable. In fact, everything I'm gonna go over is extremely tactical and can be implemented right away so you can see an immediate impact on improving your show rate. I wanna ask you a question, and I want you to put yourself in the shoes of a prospect that's looking at your business. And if you had a prospect that booked an appointment for your gym but didn't know anything about your business, would you show up? Do you think you would feel obligated to then show up and go to that appointment? Or would you even want to go to that appointment? A very simple question, but if you had any sort of hesitation, one of the first things that we want to do is we just don't want to unpack why that is. And a lot of times it could just be like that first thing that came to you is frankly what we need to fix. Now, if you're like, I have no idea why I feel that way, well, no worries. I'm going to help you on that today anyway. But if you're looking at improving your show rate, chances are it's because you're looking at improving the growth, especially on the front end. So an easy way to do this at any point in time is finding which variable is actually holding back the growth of your business. And a simple variable that we can use in this situation is what we call the acquisition equation. And that equation is simply new signups is equal to leads, booking percentage, show percentage, and closing percentage. Now in gyms, our baseline is we want 50% of leads booking appointments, 50% of those appointments showing up, and then 50% of those that show closing. You want to take a look at this equation. You want to do the math and figure out which one is below baseline is going to have the biggest lift, the biggest impact on improving signups. If everything was at baseline, too many people focus on improving book and improving show. I'm actually going to look at improving close rate, because if I own a gym, if I own a brick and mortar gym, I want to be closing 70-75% of the people that come through my doors. That'll actually give me the biggest lift, especially on front end return on ad spend, but then LTV on the back end, especially when we add in the recurring nature of everything. And also completely not in this is if retention is an issue, there's a whole nother formula that we can use that takes this data, throws in retention to figure out, oh, where is actual the stickiness or the bottleneck in my gym going to be at? But we're just looking at front end growth. Now, if when you do this equation and it's something like book rate is 10%, 20%, well, and your show rate is 40%, well, guess what? Your show rate's not an issue. It's your book rate. If your closing is 30%, 40%, well, your closing is absolutely fucking atrocious. And instead of getting more people to show, I'm going to try and close more of the people that are actually coming in. But let's just say we're here at baseline and we know our show rate is the biggest issue. Let's actually take a look. Let's isolate that and see what would happen to your business on the front end of getting new clients to come in the door by just actually fixing it at a couple different levels. So let's say X in this equation is new signups, and we have a pile of 100 leads. We have a 50% show, a 50% close, and a 15% show rate. Out of that 100 leads, we're going to sign up just under 4 new clients. But if we just take that show rate to 30%, now all of a sudden, we've doubled our signups. Sometimes it's like, you're thinking, I need more leads or need this. No, it's probably just fixing our sales. So now all of a sudden we double it, we're at 7.5, just under 8 new members. And if we get our show rate to 50%, now with the same amount of leads, the same amount of ad spend, nothing else changing, now I go from signing up just under 4 people to just over 12 people a month. That's why understanding actually where the issue is so freaking important. And we're going to talk about one of the biggest issues, especially in gyms, which is getting people to show up. And we'll go over 7 ways to actually improve your show up for your gym. But before we do there, I do want you to understand why somebody doesn't show up for an appointment, because this is absolutely critical. And as a business owner, sometimes we can put too much emotion and we're like, oh, they booked an appointment. Why didn't they show? Like I would do it. And we're just really thinking about ourselves. Like, hey, I spent money on ads, or I did this activity, or whatever it was. Why wouldn't somebody show up and buy my shit? Well, let's think about it for a reason. Why wouldn't somebody show up? They won't show up for the appointment if they don't see the value. And most likely, they don't see the value in their appointment with your gym. Or they think that that appointment is just another sales meeting. And they're like, man, they're just going to try and sell me into their program. But ultimately, the biggest reason that people aren't showing up, or they're not buying certain things, or their past experiences, which are shaping their current beliefs, which if they think you're just going to try and sell them like every other gym who's then clearly not giving them the results, hence they're not there anymore, or has actually like burned them and taken advantage of them, they're associating your business with all of those past experiences. So if they think it's just another sales meeting, they know what those are like. People love to buy, but they don't want to be sold to, so they're not going to come up. And then ultimately, if they don't think this appointment is actually for them, how they're going to change their life, then they're also not going to show up if they think it's just all about us. And think about the conversations, think about our appointments, think about even everything that's happened prior to that. What do you think kind of message is being sent to your prospects? Is this actually happening? The biggest, easiest way to think about fixing it though, is we want to tie them showing up to the appointment as being the next best step for them in their health and fitness journey, as well as overall like journey in life. Because if we can tie it to even something bigger, one, we can charge more, all sorts of stuff, but they're going to be more likely to show up. What we want to do when we have an appointment set is we want to make sure that we prevent the prospect from forgetting. We want to make sure that they see this appointment as a priority. Doesn't matter what else is going on in their life, because they probably have a family, they have kids, they have a significant other or whatever, they have a job and it could be demanding, they have other shit that's going on that we may not know about. So we want to make sure that this, no matter what pops up, this is actually the priority. We want to then make sure that we help them actually see the value in the appointment that they just booked. And we want to help get rid of uncertainty. This is going to be one of the biggest things. Why doesn't somebody buy? A lot of times they might tell you its price, might tell you they need to speak to their partner or whatever, but ultimately it's just uncertainty. They don't actually see how this is going to help. You're going to want to check out our videos when it comes down to actual like doing sales, because that'll help some of this other stuff make sense. But this is what we want to make sure that we help them overcome, and this doesn't pop up for this prospect so that they actually show. At the end of the day, if somebody does see the value, they know what they're getting, and then they're properly reminded, they will actually show up to your business. And something to really think about. Across the entire buyer's journey, we are actually selling. So all of this is sales. It's not just setting an appointment. Let's say they came in from an ad and they automatically booked an appointment. Like the ad, whatever copy or the video, then sold the click. When they clicked on it, that page or that form they went to, then sold the opt-in. Then the follow-up that had, whether it's text message, calls, whatever, sold them to do the appointment, or they directly booked the appointment there. And then once the appointment's booked, we're selling them on actually showing. But unfortunately, too many people extremely transactionally. So they just think like, hey, they should be automatically buying my stuff because I'm the best at what we do. But the entire time in this buyer's journey, we want to be thinking about the prospect. What are they thinking every step of the journey? What do I got to do to essentially sell them on actually completing the next action that I want to take? And the easy way to do that is just to remember that it is a human being on the other end. And as a result, you are owed absolutely nothing. You might be the best human being in the world, but you're just because they opted in, you have the business, does not mean you are entitled to them becoming a client. We want to help them see that that is the best thing for them, but we have to make sure in order to do that, we have to avoid being transactional. We have to make sure that we're focusing on them. If you're like, I don't know if I'm being transactional, here's how you can identify if that's actually happening. Number one, like, are you actually talking to the prospect, whether it's the follow-up, whether it's a phone call? Are you asking about their goals, their problems that they're facing? Or are you just trying to set an appointment? Be like, get on a call, book a meeting, come on into my gym. But first, I want to see about what's going on to see if we can even help. You know, what are the goals you're looking for? What's the problem that you're currently facing? And then diving in there. How can we identify if they may perceive what we're doing is about being about us and not them? Is if we only talk about the program and not about the prospect. So many people, when they talk to somebody, they just vomit and they just explode on, here's all this amazing stuff that we do, and here's how we're different. And the salesperson talking the whole time, and the prospect's like, I didn't even get a word in. And then what's an example of a prospect not seeing the value? Ultimately, we're just booking appointments and not even confirming and or talking to the person. So that's an easy way to transition into 7 ways to improve it. The first way is we want to actually build value in the appointment. And in my opinion, the best way to build value in the appointment is by actually speaking to the prospect over the phone. They don't pick up phone calls. They don't respond to text. That's a story that we're telling ourselves. If you want to get people showing up at 50, 60, 70% or more, have a quick conversation with them on the phone. Even if it starts via text message, and you could do this via text message, it's really easy to then transition onto a quick phone call. It puts some reality to the person behind the screen. Everybody else is saying, buy my shit, and immediately the prospect's defenses are going to go up because they feel the transaction. They feel like they're just a number. They feel as if you're trying to sell to them. But if you actually spend time to know what their goal is, to see if you can help, you immediately position yourself as different. And most of your competition is not doing this, but them also listening to you and hearing your tonality and you asking questions directly about them, they will then understand that this person cares. They're actually trying to solve my problem. And then what's actually going to happen at an appointment, because we can spend time talking about that. So to build value, you need to know their goals, you need to know their problems, and they need to know what's going to happen at the appointment. Very, very simple. So during your call, or again, if you're doing it via text message, but you can start texting somebody and get them on a call, you should find out their goal, the obstacle, the problem. What is so great that they would show up to a call for? You need to understand what's holding them back. So it's not just like, hey, here's a goal, cool, we're going to do this. But like when we tell them like, hey, at the meeting, we're going to identify what's actually been holding you back so that you can finally get to the goal. And we'll actually map out exactly what that looks like to accomplish that. When you say that and they have this roadmap and they understand it, they're going to get value. Whether they sign up with you or not, they're going to leave that meeting better than when they showed up. That's when they're like, this is something I need to go to, especially when we can build up like the importance of it for them, or they already have done that themselves. Ultimately, if you are struggling to get people to actually show up, just remind yourself, or just give yourself this little audit. What are you saying? How are you saying it with appointments? Remember, you're not selling the program, the service, or the offer. You're selling the appointment. The goal is to get them excited about what they're going to find out at the actual meeting. So focus on solving problems and map out the outcome, not the program. So it's not features. It's not even honestly like benefits. It's the outcomes. Too many people are just like throwing features out left and right thinking that's going to make a big difference. And a way to just remember this is people pay for coaches. They pay for the experience. They pay for shortcuts. So you can always add some of the sizzle into the conversation you have. People want to know that they're dealing with real people. They're not being treated like cattle. They're not just another number that's going to sign up and be forgotten. So real conversations with real people increase the likelihood, especially in a service-based business, and especially with all the changes and the advent of AI. And yes, you can definitely take advantage of that. But with that, they're then going to be more likely to show up because in the past they've tried stuff, they've failed, they haven't had success. So they're looking for somebody they can ultimately trust. So there is a document here. If you want it, just comment and I'll make sure you get that. But it actually has two different scripts that you can use when actually calling your leads to qualify them, to make sure you build up this value and they actually show up. Once we do this, the next thing is, and maybe I could have actually done this first, but you got to make sure that you actually have appointment reminders actually set up. I am a human being that forgets a lot of things, and I also have absolutely wicked ADHD, so I need it to be nowadays, especially in my calendar, and I need to be reminded about it. So here's a very, very simple appointment flow that should just be standardized, should be inside of it. A little note is if you're booking anything outside of 48 hours, so we do want to try and book people within 24 to 40, like same day, 24 or 48 hours. You might want to look at the 7-step that I'll go over. Anybody beyond 48 hours, you're going to start seeing your show rate decrease because just life happens. So if I can keep it fresher, I had a great conversation, pain is there, the desire's there, and if I get them to show up and be more likely, or get that appointment in that earlier time frame, they're going to be more likely to show up. And then when we have it booked, don't let them forget. Stay top of mind. So right when you book the appointment, they should get another email and a text message in 10 minutes, at least a text message. Now you can adjust these, but like this is the standard flow. What you can put in there, these are just basic standard appointment reminders. You don't have to go anything crazy. I'm going to show you, especially even just with the next one, of what you can do to add to that and add to the pre-appointment process, or once the appointment's booked, like what happens prior, to increase the likelihood of them showing up, but also pre-selling them too, which is going to be pretty cool. But this is the baseline. Again, you can mess around with some of the time and the frequencies, and like if you're using our software lead flow, like this is already built out with a bunch of the other stuff. The next thing you could do is actually send a personalized video to them prior to their appointment. So during your reminders, you can send them some sort of video and or picture, including yourself and your facility, just to give them a face to how the follow-up, make it personal to create the connection, or just show them what they need to see. We'll also talk about how you can actually, you kind of see the links, how you can actually use AI to help you with this. Don't think I included anywhere in here, and I'll actually give you a script that you can use for this too. But also, if this is coming from like iPhone style message, it's actually going to have way better effect. So within your CRM, there's a couple of different things that you can use to get blue like iMessages, or send it just directly from an iPhone in addition to the reminders. But especially, like, I think this should be done if you have somewhat difficult or bad signage. I had a location that was tucked like super far back in an industrial center. So even at times when we had appointments and we used to do like really large sales meetings, like we'd have like groups of like 10, 20, 30, 40 people showing up. So sometimes that was a little bit easier once the first couple people found it, because they could just see all the cars. Or if we had other appointments happening throughout the day, it might be difficult because we weren't allowed any good signage or anything like that. So sometimes we had to like literally have people hanging out the fucking door when an appointment was hanging out so they can come in. And then on top of that, we started adding these inside of it so they could know what they're getting into. Because just imagine if you book an appointment and you're showing up and you get lost, you get confused. So just helping them on there with a video would be key. There's 4 different AI softwares that you can use that help create personalized videos. You can also do this with the name of the person, the appointment, and nowadays you can set all sorts of other like back-end stuff up. So like you just create the video one time and then AI takes the rest of it, or you just give it a script. Record the video, confirm their appointment, and reaffirm that they made a great decision, and have their name in the beginning. People like that will click for them. This one video can be used for all the appointments or through AI and manually. And here's just a little quick script. Like, hey, name, it's owner of whatever your gym's name is, or whoever's doing this for you. Maybe it's a manager or whatever. I'm super excited for our appointment tomorrow, or whatever time. But before our appointment, I just wanted to do 3 things. 1, I just wanted to let you know how excited I am to meet you. 2, I just want to remind you that you made an absolutely amazing decision. And 3, I just want to let you know what to expect. So then like literally tell them what to expect. Like, hey, we're going to identify your goals, what's holding you back from getting there, what you need to do over X period of time to achieve them, anything like that. And then boom, see you tomorrow. So again, they're like just getting reminded, they're getting excited again, you're keeping that desire up, and we have that personal touch there. They're going to be more likely to show. And even like subtly, subconsciously, this does help actually pre-sell them, which is amazing. So here's a couple things. So if you don't have really good appointment reminders, make sure you should get that shit set up prior to even setting the appointment. Make sure that like you're actually having a great conversation with those leads. Even if they booked an appointment, you should be calling those leads, by the way, and having a great conversation, really getting deep and finding out what they're looking for help with. Those are going to be 2 things. Then this, if you can do those 2 things, that right there, like either one of those first 2 options can fix your show rate. Then you can add this on top of it. You're like, oh, we are doing that. We have really good reminders. Try this, especially if you have a difficult place to find. Now, how do I want to take it a step further? Another thing you can do is you can include a sizzle video or an objection handling video that you send to them prior to their appointment. This video that you send can get them excited, but can also hit the main objections that may prevent them from actually signing up. This would be you, your manager, or your salesperson highlighting this. And something that I don't cover in here, but I would also recommend, have this video hosted on YouTube, especially if you're a local business, and you can even optimize that. So for SEO, now you have another asset that's on another channel, one of the highest search channels. If you send them the YouTube link, they're going to be more likely to click it. So not only am I using it for appointments, but I can be also using it when I'm bringing people into my funnel, and it might be what actually gets them in, depending on the stage that they're at. But something to do in this video is you want to get them hyped, remind them on what to expect, and then hit like 3 to 5 of the biggest reasons that they don't sign up. They don't believe they can afford it. They don't believe they will have the time. They don't believe they'll have the support, and they don't believe it's any different than before. This was actually an internal training we did a while ago, and apparently I don't know how to fucking read. So anyway, we want to make sure that we send this to them. That would be, and again, you can even do individual videos for each one of these. So then you have more assets, especially going to YouTube. We can even send them individually based on the conversations that we have, or you can send these in a whole sequence as part of your appointment reminders and like step by step, just abolishing all of them. Or you can have it just in like one awesome video that they get. And all of this, like not only does it get them to show up, but then they're gonna be like, man, this person like knows literally what I'm thinking. They're inside of my head. They must be amazing. Another thing you can do is send them a sizzle video. What is a sizzle video? It gets them excited about your program, the outcomes that happen, and include testimonial highlights and case studies and clients inside of that video. So it really builds up the desire and helps them see what can happen for them through other people. Now, you also don't have to do like either or of these. Like you can do both of these. Like I said, you can take all of the objection handling videos and turn those into a ton of other mini videos, and you can have all of this set up in your flow. Or you can have all of this outside of there and you can add some additional touches on it. But just imagine on a full spectrum what this can do for just your gym as a whole. So that's something that you can do. If you are having great conversations, you're already having the appointment reminder set up, and then you are sending them kind of like a video to let them know like who is going to be there or where to find you or anything like that, then boom, add some sort of either sizzle video or objection handling video. Have those in your pre-call assets so they're getting that, they're watching that prior to actually showing up. And also, none of your gym is actually doing any of, or none of your competition is actually doing any of this, so it allows you to be separated from all the comp, which then, if you're ideally one of the more expensive ones in the market, they're already justifying it in their head because they're just like, man, this gym is better than everybody else because nobody's doing these things. Another thing you can do is give them a free unexpected bonus. In your reminder sequence, you can get them excited for some sort of free bonus they're going to get, like a t-shirt, a supplement, a free grocery guide, something unique to your biz. You know, you can do something like ask them their shirt size, what flavor that they like, what foods they don't like. And I got an example of one below. I'll scroll down in a little bit. But like, just think about it. If it's martial arts, ask them like their size for a rash guard or a gi. If it's kickboxing, like be like, I got some gloves for you. If it's fitness, be like, hey, I'm putting together your nutrition plan. You can then include a free bonus of this. So here's an example of just one we've done in the past. Like, hey, prepping for a meeting tomorrow and identifying the best meal plan for you. Is there any foods that you don't like or can't eat that I should know. So it's like this, and then you see there's a picture on top, and the picture is literally just like of a nutrition manual or a bunch of different nutrition manuals that it's like we're going through. So they go, oh, this, and then they're just going to be responding or continue to have a conversation like, oh, wow, this. You start getting a little bit also of like the law of reciprocity into play. So like, oh, they're doing all this stuff. Like I got to show up, and then I also gotta buy. Like all that stuff is happening. But again, your competition isn't doing this, so it allows you to separate yourself from them. Another thing that you can do in your pre-call assets is actually, and you're going to see 6 and 7 here, so I'm just going to scroll all the way down, is number 6 is include testimonials. As you grow, you should be collecting testimonials for social proof. If you have a gym, this is one of the most important things you can do. It's one of the easiest things you can do, especially when it comes to like middle funnel. But you should be including this in your follow-up. If you want to go check out ours and what an example looks like, just go to that link, gymacademy.info/video-testimonials, and it'll show you just one of those assets that we sent to people prior. But it allows people to then like listen to your clients, hear their experiences, hear their stories. And again, it helps them understand like this is different. They're actually successful. It's not just some hole in the wall business. You can also do this where you send out a few pics, including their stories. So every single one of my clients came into gyms, like we're getting before and afters for. In fact, you can do that pretty much for any type of training-based gym. You can talk a little bit about their story, but you should be including that there. You should also be including that like elsewhere, like just on your social media in general. But if you include this in part of your pre-call assets, it's going to be huge. Now, here's the 7th, increase your show ups. And I talked about this a little bit earlier. There's 2 different ways that we can do this, but you can start actually collecting a deposit, whether it's a refundable or non-refundable deposit for an appointment that's booked. There's 2 ways you can do this. They can pay a refundable deposit just to book any appointment. Even if I'm booking the next day, I'm paying a deposit down. I'm giving you my card information, and you're actually collecting the payment there just to book it. But it's like, hey, when you show, we'll either apply it or refund it. Another option is like they just pay a non-refundable deposit just to book any appointment. So it's just like, yeah, to book an appointment, it's X. I've seen both of these work well. There is a client that's using deposits for any appointment, and when they implemented this, their show rate went up to 90% because at the end of the day, like they're collecting the deposit. And then we also have a client who has a prospect pay a refundable deposit to book anything outside of 48 hours. Same thing, this took her show rate to 100% because a couple things will happen if you're doing a refundable deposit outside of 48 hours. Either one, the person's not going to book an appointment because like, oh, I don't want to do that. And if anybody doesn't want to pay deposit, fantastic, cool. They probably weren't going to sign up. They probably weren't going to show up. So now you're just not wasting your time. And anybody that is booking an appointment is highly, highly qualified. Here's a really super simple way that you can actually do this. Excellent. So, all right, name, to finalize this booking, we just need to put a card on file to reserve your spot. If you don't show or you don't cancel with the next time frame, there's Y charge. Or if it's a refundable, you just say there's a refundable deposit of X that we either apply to the program or refund as long as you show. Just say that with confidence as it's just part of your process and they won't balk at it. You'll be absolutely fine. So that's a simple way that you can just add a deposit, 2 different kinds to actually increase the show rate for your booking. And then finally, something that I just wanted to talk about. So this is just kind of like a bonus where it's like, hey, I'm doing a lot of these things or whatever, but people still don't show up. Think about this. This actually came from one of my franchisees, is that you want to think about your business as a storefront. So we dove into those 7 ways to improve show rates, and some of those are tactics and strategies and stuff like that. But there's also just like something else to consider. If you're running ads through social media, or even like if they're coming in through organic content, you have to understand that at some point in time, like disruption-based marketing, especially if it's ads. Maybe if they saw your organic video or post like one time and you popped up, you got their attention, then they've been consuming it. It's a little bit different, but at first it was like we disrupted what they were doing on social media, got their attention, so they went ahead and booked in. So what's going to happen next? Just think about it in your case. If that happened to you, you booked an appointment or you opted in for something that you saw in an ad, what is naturally going to be the next step you do? Will you go and check out Google? Will you like Google the business? Will you go to their website? Will you read the reviews? Will you go check out, especially if it's on Facebook or IG, will you then go check out the page, check out the feed and kind of go through this? This is your storefront, not just your actual, if you have a physical brick and mortar, that being your storefront, but this is your virtual storefront. What does it actually see? Is your prospect going to see great reviews, success stories, an environment that they want to be a part of? Maybe even like curiosity of like, man, like they just see these amazing results, but they don't know any of the context, so they have to show up to kind of feed that itch. Are they going to see that? Or are they going to see a barren ass wasteland? Nothing on there, nothing good, absolutely shitty reviews, shitty fucking content. So sometimes that's like the simple aspect is we got to fix that. If we fix that, it'll increase the amount of people that show because it's like, cool, this is a business they want to be a part of. It's kind of subsided some of their limiting potentially beliefs and past experiences that they're trying to overcome. So all of these additional steps that we talked about today, you can 100% do. But sometimes this just might be the easiest thing. Just make your virtual storefront even better, even more appealing so people actually want to show. So in conclusion, it's always easiest to start simple. Am I communicating with all my appointments? Are they seeing the value? If you're struggling to book appointments, like that's where you got to start. And generally speaking, I would recommend only testing one thing at a time, just to see if like I get this big lift and you did 3 different things, you don't actually know which variable made the impact on it. So if you change one thing, give yourself a couple weeks to a month, sometimes even longer, but like at least that time frame before adding another variable in. That way you can actually isolate what happened. Because I mean, as much as there's all these things you can do and you should do over time, it's like if I just got to make one small change that has all the impact, I'm gonna 100% do that. And then I want to focus on what's the other biggest constraint inside of my business that's preventing it from growing. But just remember, as parting words, that people will not show up if they feel like they're being sold to. They don't see the value, or they feel like it's all about us and not about them. So understand that we are dealing with human beings, and human beings are selfish creatures who tune into one radio station, which is WIIFM, What's in It for Me Radio. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it gives you some value, and that 30 minutes later, you know a couple different ways that you can increase your show rates. And if you immediately go ahead and apply, you start seeing it in action. And then as a result, your business starts growing. So if you like this, I would appreciate it if you shared this video with anybody that you think would get some value in it. And love it if you would comment below, talk to me about what was maybe some of your biggest takeaways, and also anything else that I can help you when it comes to growing your business. Until next time.